Okay, in this example, we're building a boom pivot. This is from Too Tall Toby, dated 4/07/24. This is not too bad of a model. That's basically consists of a slot feature, a couple cylinders on here, a rib feature, and then we have this back model here to contend with. So we do know some information about where this location is, but you have to do some offsets, basically in a sketch to get this location, the height, which just drives this positional information here. So we'll use these values here to build this in IronCAD, and we'll show you how we can do this with a mix of standard features and sketches. So again, we'll start out with our catalogs, and we'll start with a slot feature that we'll just drag and drop out here. And we know when we select down to this, we can adjust some information here. So we know the overall length of this is 111 plus we've got a 85 or 42.5 diameter on each end, so that's plus 85 on there. So we'll just add that on there. And then we'll go to our side, which again, this will be 85 for our overall width on that. So we can go ahead and just double click that, put in 85 for that value. And our height for this is just only 30 millimeters for that. So that kind of gives us our base starting model here. And we can go ahead and add our cylinder by just dragging and drop onto our center point, aligning it to our outer edge, and then we can actually set this height, which we know is 120. So we can just type in 20 minus the 30 that's already on there to give our overall height for that model. So that kind of gives us our basis for this, this shape. We can now add some of the other geometry. They do have a small little lip up here, which is a diameter of 63 and just has a height of 6 on that. So we'll just type in 6 for that height on there. Next, we're going to build this back feature here. So you can do this in multiple ways. You can start with a sketch, build the whole thing out. I'm going to do a combination of the two, just kind of show you some alternates of doing this. So I'm going to start with an extrude out here. I'm going to drop it onto the center point. And what I'm going to do is basically to build the offset, I'm going to snap to our center. I'm just going to pull this down, and we know the top is aligned with this. So we have our basically a cylinder that we want to build our offset, which they give us a value to the center point of 75 to there. And we know the radius of this is 27, so the height of that would be 27 plus 27 or times 2. Either way you want to do it, you can get that value. And we know the overall width of this, if we right click and drag on these handles, we can get a symmetrical size, is going to be 61. So that's kind of that overall location of that shape. And what I'm going to do now is just add a cylinder on here onto our point, and I can flip the direction and just snap this up to our geometry again to get that starting shape. So that is one way to build this starting element. So we could have just dropped a sketch and built this as well, same way. Just kind of give you guys some alternate ways of doing this. So now we'll go ahead and do the extrude on this model to get the other part of the geometry. So this one I will use the sketch, and we're going to add it to this part here. And we're going to actually do a sketch here, so let's clear that. And we're going to actually do a sketch. In our case, we want our sketch somewhere else. I didn't position it initially where I wanted it, so I'm just going to just drag and drop it over to a location, and I'm just going to rotate it up 90 degrees to give us a starting point for our sketch, and I'll just align this there. So what we do know here is we do have a cylinder, or basically a circle here, that we know that the diameter of that is 55. So I'm just going to type that in for the radius. Sorry, the radius is 55 on there, and we can lock that down if we want to maintain that. Again, this can be radius or diameter value that you can have there. The other thing that we do know is that this thing is actually 15 millimeters from our sketch or our bottom of our geometry. So we're going to go ahead and type that 15 millimeters. So that's going to drive our location of this, because it's basically, when we move this circle, it can move anywhere here. To basically, we want to get tangent to there so that we can draw our connection line. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and project this element for reference, and then we can just do a tangent constraint from here to this to move it over. So that kind of gives us our geometry, starting point geometry, and now we can just kind of build some of our other information, which is basically just going to build that straight line down, build this up to here, and we can move it over to a location here. So we want to basically get it to that location there to snap to, so we don't have that snap point, I don't think. Yeah, we don't get that snap point, so we'll just draw another 2-point line from that tangency value there. Make sure I'm at the tangency location here. And we can just draw that up and connect these 2 points. So that kind of basically gives us our profile, and we just trim away what we don't need, which is that geometry there, and that. We don't need that information. We want the rest of this to be our model, and that's our profile that we're going to create. So again, the key reference information was this 15 and 55, and they don't really give you any other information about this geometry. So we'll go ahead and build that there. And we know that's going to be at value of 61, but we're going to flip it to go in the reverse direction as well. So that's, well, actually we didn't snap that right. We didn't align it to that original geometry, so I just pulled my handles over to move that there. So there we go. So now we have our 61 value. So that's our shape there, and we need to have this cutout on here as well. So one way to do that again is just do an extrude drop on here. And these have a direction, like this direction arrow. So I can just basically just rotate this with our tri-ball 90 degrees. And what I'm gonna do is just pull it out and outside this geometry here. And I'm gonna tell it to extrude to a forward direction to a surface, which is that cylinder surface. So it gives us that inside cylinder there. And then we can just pull this down to cut through there. So that gives us that cut. And then we can set our diameter value here, which is by right clicking and dragging, we type in a value of 27, which will drive that symmetrically. So that will give us our cutout for that inside of there. And now all we need to do is add our rib and our cylinders in here last. So let's go ahead and just drop a cylinder on here for our cut here, which I think has a diameter of 50 on that one. Then we could go into our shapes catalog, grab our rib shape and drag and drop that out. It's rotated the wrong way. I'm just gonna rotate it around 180 inside of here, and we know it has a diameter value of 17 inside of there, and now we just need to set this value. So one of the key values it does give us is this outside edge needs to be a certain distance from the center. So what we can do is right click on here and say edit distance from center point onto this, and we know that needs to be 70, and that will set our point there. Next we can edit the cross section of this, and we're just going to drive this angle. So what we're going to do is just simply make sure we lock our location here so it doesn't change, and we're just going to drive this angle here, which is set a value of 20 degrees, and that will set our height for us. So now that we've got that, we can hit finish, and that basically puts us in the right space. So again, it's 17 millimeters width, and we've got our distance from there set. So that's all it takes to build that. And last, we just need to add our 2 other cylinders here, which again are our through cuts, which will drop one here, has a value of 40. And we'll drop one over here on our center point, which has a value of, let's see, 30 on that one. So there we go. So that basically will build our shape for us. There's no blends on this, but that's essentially how you can build this in IronCAD. Again, you could do this multiple ways, but just kind of showing you some combination of features and sketches to do similar things, or you could just draw it all in one sketch mode as well. So that's your model there, and if you go to your properties in grams, they have a density for 2700 for that. That should get you at 2451 for the grams. That's how you can build this in IronCAD. Hopefully you enjoyed.